We welcome you to a meeting of the Buchanan Community Schools Board of Education. All regular meetings have been posted on our district website, in our central office, and in each district school building. Tonight's agenda has been posted on our website and emailed out to the BCS Board of Education community subscription. Our board members received the agenda and supporting documents for reports and action items in advance so they can review information, prepare questions or comments, and are ready to participate in discussion and votes. This meeting is a meeting of the Board of Education in public for the purpose of conducting the school district's business and is not considered a public community meeting. The Buchanan Community Schools Board of Education recognizes the value of public comment on educational issues and the importance of allowing members of the public to express themselves on district matters, as indicated during the public comment portion of the agenda. We request that each interested participant please complete a public comment card to ensure responses can be appropriately addressed. Thank you for your support of Buchanan Community Schools. And we will start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You want me to try the other way?
I'm not sure.
They're not on. I'm about to ask him, and I'm like, nah, he's got it.
How's that? Is that any better?
You go back to the one of yours.
Okay, is that any better?
Yeah, that one's not bigger. I'll keep going. I'll pick it up.
Okay. All right, we will start with roll call.
Mr. Carlson.
Here.
Ms. Brackett.
Here.
Mr. Brown.
Here.
Ms. Lesh here. Dr. Carlin.
Here.
Dr. Burnett.
Here.
And Ms. Berry.
Here. All right, next we have our adoption of the agenda.
I move the agenda for the regular board meeting of June 29, 2026 be adopted as written.
Support with the addition of N7, Public Improvement Fund Transfer.
Questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Mr. Carlson.
Yes.
Ms. Brackett.
Yes.
Mr. Brown.
Yes.
Ms. Lesh, yes. Dr. Carlin.
Yes.
Dr. Burnett.
Yes.
And Ms. Berry.
Yes. All right. Thank you all for being here with us today. Not a lot of non-school visitors, but we appreciate you showing up for the meeting. We will move on to the presentation of the 2025-2026 budget amendment.
Good evening. In the next several minutes, I'll present information regarding the 2025-26 fiscal year-end budget amendment. And before we deliver that presentation, I'd like to share some reasons for the budget amendment. One is to align the budget as closely as possible with updated revenue and expenditure projections before the fiscal year ends at midnight tomorrow. Also, to ensure compliance with the Michigan Uniform Budgeting and Accounting Act. And thirdly, to update the projected fund balance amounts for each of the funds. We'll start with the general fund, then after that, the building and site capital projects fund, followed by the debt retirement fund and the food service fund, then followed by the public improvement fund, and finally the student activities fund. With that, let's start with the general fund. You see here at the top portion of the general appropriations resolution, this section covers the revenue. And this level of detail aligns with the level of detail that the Board of Education approves as part of the budget process. So this is the revenue side. The next part of the general appropriations resolution is the expenditure side, and that's the bottom half of the general appropriations resolution. And this shows the level of detail at which the Board of Education approves the budget for the general fund for fiscal year. and that's true in the year-end budget amendment and also for the initial budget. And you see the box, the section in the box represents the level of detail that the Board of Education approves the budget. Let's take a look at fund balance. This is also called the rainy day fund or operating reserve. And the accounting definition is short-term assets minus short-term liabilities at the fund level, general fund, food service fund, et cetera. And then it's calculated for each of the funds. And the Government Finance Officers Association recommends maintaining at least 2 months, or about 16.7%, of unassigned fund balance in the operating fund. Next, I'll present the budgets by fund, and we'll start with the general fund and proceed through the sequence shared a moment ago. With that, let's turn next to the general fund. And this is a summary of the general fund. You see, this format will show last year's actual results, the revenue, total revenue and total expenditures, and then the revenue over or under expenditures, followed by the fund balance. Next, we had the initial budget for 25-26 fiscal year, and then the next column shows the mid-year budget revision, followed by this column, which is the proposed final budget amendment. And you can see the amounts in the green rectangles near the bottom. Those are the fund balance amounts. And then way on the right, you see that the dollar amount change from the February budget revision and the percentage change in the rightmost column. And I'll present the budgets for each of the funds in this format. Now, the general fund budget amendment includes state aid revenue updates. It also includes updated information on property tax updates, property tax revenue that reflects actual collections, and updated account rebalancing for at-risk accounts, and updating 27L, or educator compensation budget accounts, and a number of other adjustments as well. Moving next to the Building and Site Capital Projects Fund, you see last year's actual results, the initial budget, mid-year revision, and then this proposed final budget amendment is here. And then over to the right, you see the dollar change for revenues and expenditures, and also the percentage changes. Next is the Debt Retirement Fund. Relatively little change here. You can see that our fund balance last year was approximately a little over $190,000 at fiscal year end, June 30, 2025, and we're estimating that as of tomorrow it will be just over $140,000. So very little change there. Moving next to the Food Service Fund, some of the changes here include projected revenue increases of a very slight amount, and then some increase in expenditures, and that also includes funding for merit pay for food service staff. And I would note that our fund balance in the food service fund has had what the Michigan Department of Education considers excess fund balance. So we are being encouraged by the state, actually requested to reduce our fund balance in this particular fund. This fund shows a recap here, last year's actual, followed by the initial budget this year, February amendment, and then the proposed year-end amendment. Our next fund is the Public Improvement Fund that funds a variety of capital projects through the sinking fund. And you see that last year's actual results, the initial budget, there actually was no budget adopted for this fund in last June or in February. And I'm proposing that that the Board of Education adopt a budget for this fund at fiscal year end. And finally, we have the Student Activities Fund. Last year's fund balance was a little over $300,000, initial budget shown here, and then the February amendment, and then finally the proposed year-end budget amendment with an estimated fund balance of $170,000 and some change. And next, I'd like to highlight the millage rates for 2026. These have already been approved by the Board of Education. These include the state levy, the 6 mills, And then the debt retirement levy of 2.1, sinking fund 0.7692, and this is a reduction since last calendar year. So homestead property owners will see a reduction in their millage rate in 2026. Looking at the property tax rates for non-homestead property, this is primarily for businesses and other non-homestead property. The state mills also 6 mills. Operating millage has been reduced from 18 mills, so that has declined. Debt retirement is the same as last year. Sinking fund is lower than last year, so that so the non-homestead property owners have 2 types of millage rate reductions in 2026. I apologize for the underscoring of the total there being misaligned, but it's 26.7082 mils, a reduction, overall reduction in millage rates for non-homestead and homestead property for 2026. So that's a key takeaway for 2026. Next steps would be for the board to approve the general appropriations resolution before July 1. I'd be happy to respond to any questions you may have.
Nope. Thank you very much. Thanks, Scott. And the Facilities and Finance Committee did spend quite a bit of time reviewing this information a couple weeks ago, I don't know, a week ago. The time has...
17.
The 17th.
17.
Okay. So thank you very much for the detail that went into it. All right. Next, we have our public hearing on the proposed 26-27 budget. Everybody get their finance hats on.
Hi, it's good to see all you guys. Let's talk a little bit about 26-27 because I'm first going to preface this and just tell you that the state still has not done its budget yet. So understand full well, like us putting this together is similar to us asking a teacher, hey, by the way, can you tell us what your test scores are going to be next year? Because they don't even know what students they have. We don't even know what categoricals or anything else the state's going to be doing right now. So know that we're giving the best guess that we possibly can right now to move forward with what we consider to be what we expect for next year. So moving on, just our mission and our budget is geared towards our mission, which is educating students for the lifelong success in their civic, academic, physical, and social emotional lives, which then takes us to the budget. Scott did this incredibly well, so I am not going to repeat this for you. So how does Michigan receive their money? So the state ends up getting sales tax as a significant portion of this. I know that there has been in the past questions about the marijuana tax and such like that. Know that 35% of the marijuana tax goes into the state aid fund, the school fund. So just in case anybody asks, yep, 35% goes to the state and then it's dispersed along with the big pocket of money that they have, which is all of this right here. And then, I mean, they spend money too, right? Like they bring in money and they spend money. And so this is how they end up spending out of the state aid fund. So the foundation allowance is almost half of what they're spending. Federal grants are passed through, so it's the money they receive and then turn right around and go back. But then they also spend it on special education. The MIPSers is the retirement at-risk funding, which we also receive at-risk funding here in Buchanan. Which then leads us to, like, we have to comply with the state law. Like, hey, so this is what we're doing. We're going to make sure everybody's happy and doesn't come and arrest me in particular. So that's important for me. Property tax millage back in February 2024. We were fortunate to have all of our voters, maybe not all of them, but a majority of our voters said, hey, you need an operating tax mill. And they did for 18.4 mils, knowing full well that we can only charge 18 mils. And this is for this is for the people. It's not your primary homes; it's your secondary homes and rental properties and such. So thank you for that. And then they also, at the same time, approved the sinking fund in February 2024, and it's at 0.7919 mils was what it was approved back in 2024. So this is going to take us to today. We are looking at collecting 17.8390 mils, and that is not the full 18 mils that we should be collecting. So all total, we're looking at collecting just a little over $3 million in property taxes, non-homestead property taxes, let me correct myself. And that is about 15% of the district's revenues. I will make the recommendation that the state anticipates and expects you to collect the 18 mils. They don't make up the difference. So I'm just going to recommend that at some point we should go back and try to get the 18 mils from all of our second homeowners and the rental properties and such like that. So just more of a heads up, because this year alone, not collecting the full 18 mils is going to end up costing the district about $29,000. It would be more next year and it's cumulative, right? So it'll add, because the state will not reimburse us for not collecting that 18 mils. Which then leads us to the sinking fund, which you saw earlier, and I was going to go back. We were at 0.7919, and we're now collecting 0.7692. And this is literally because your property tax values are going through the roof, which is great news, right? Like, we are glad that our property tax values are going up, or taxable property values are going higher than the rate of inflation. But because of that, we have to collect less mills, which is why we have less than 18 mills. And I'm rambling now, so I'm just going to move on to the 26-27 revenue assumptions. So you saw earlier that our property tax values are about 3.3, almost 3.4 million. State revenue, we're anticipating a $250 per pupil increase. We did reduce the students by about 10. So in the budget, let's hope that we get more students, but it's budgeted conservatively. You need to know that this is a conservative budget. And then following that, federal revenues are matching up with our expenditures, and then other revenue. We just reduced our one-time funding areas that we received. So all total, next year, we're looking at approximately $21.7 million in revenues for 26-27, which then takes us to this lovely chart that just really shows, that's not my updated chart. Sorry. So it really shows our state revenue is the most. And my apologies, you're looking at this. That orange bar should really be up higher, and it's because somebody forgot to tack on a 0 at the end of it, and it should be 17 million, not 1,700,000. So that's my apologies. I thought we updated that. My bad. So from the expenditure side, this retirement rate, we're looking at 27.98. These are just items that don't change, right? FICA, 7.65. We use hard caps for Buchanan, and then salary and benefits are going to fully, they're all going to increase about 3.5% all total. So when you look at the combined everything. So from the expenditure assumptions, just so you're aware, we're looking at salaries and benefits are 17.9 million. If you look at what we're doing, 77, almost 78% of our salaries and benefits go towards salaries, which is a really a good number that, hey, we're giving our money to our teachers, our staffs, our people that are going to be in direct line with our students. So we like to be able to show that. And if you include third-party staffing, which is also part of our budget, you're looking really close to 80%, which is very healthy towards salaries and benefits. This also includes, just so you guys are aware, this includes 4 new positions that we are looking at, an elementary specials position, a middle school specials position, middle school special ed position, and a high school CTE math. Yes.
Good job.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh, the fact that I remember that, I'm done. So I just wanted you to be able to see that after all of our salary and benefits, we have about 5.1 million, and I'm sure you're just like, holy smokes, like what can I not do at 5.1 million, until I tell you about the fuel and the gas and the electric and the, everything else you do. We have 2 million in operations alone to fix things up and to work on stuff, as well as another 1 million in transportation that we have to do by getting buses and such like that. So that's 3 million right there, and then so that leaves. You see how quickly it it leaves us, unfortunately. So then, also on top of that, we do have a school bus and a van allocated along with a maintenance vehicle. And then you have the building and site fund, which is great, and the public improvement fund. That's all going to be board decided, and that's monies you can use for capital improvements. So all total, if you're looking at for basic instruction and added needs instruction, you're at about 12.8 million. Almost 12.9 million of your whole budget is literally right there in the classroom, which is nice to be able to see. So all total expenditures a little over 23 million, barely over 23 million. And then you can see how the instruction here is. So on the light blue lines, you're able to see, it's kind of nice to be able to see the instruction. You're spending so much more on instruction, and you can point that to everybody. Like, look how much money we're actually putting into the classroom, which is a great chart to be able to see. So if you look at this, we have an estimated fund balance of about 5.2 million. And then if you add in the revenues and subtract out the expenditures, we're looking at about a $1.3 million deficit for next year, which will bring us to about 3.9 million. The board policy says you have to have 2 months, and you are in the 2 months category. And understand full well, this is a conservative budget, so unless something really crazy happens between now and the end of next year, you should not be getting into your 2 months time frame. Feel very confident about that. With that, I want to make sure that you can have a good idea of where we have been for the past 5 years with the revenue, expenses, and the fund equity. And then that leads us to, do you have any questions that I can answer for anybody?
So what's the foundation state grant number that they're saying that we're adding possibly $250
So
to that?
for the governor and the House and the Senate all said that they all put in $250 into their budget. So I feel pretty confident right now. I say that, and then watch, it's going to come back and bite me in the big toe. But I mean, it's. I shouldn't have said that. Sorry, I meant. Yes, I expect $250 per pupil next year.
Added to,
Added to the 10,050 that we're at right now.
okay.
Yes, I see what you're saying. Yep.
And last year, the surprise was that a lot of it was designated to categoricals, correct? So
That is correct.
We were told how it had to be spent, so there had to be adjustments.
That's correct. And it could possibly happen. We just don't know how it's going to end up playing out right now.
I have one quick question. So with the fund balance and being right at on the conservative side, is that something that like the committee just keeps an eye on as we move forward through the year? Like, how do you make sure that, you know, we stay?
Great. So you should be receiving monthly, like when I say not committee, I think you as a board as a whole,
board, yeah.
yes, will be receiving your monthly statements, and that should reflect where you are at. So it would take something big for you to drop below the
Okay.
2 months.
We talked about having the amended budget as soon as we have the count, the accurate count, and the actual amounts from the state. So getting that a little bit sooner than we have in
Would
years
make
past.
that more stable, right?
Correct.
Which may still be November.
It
Right.
very well could
Yeah.
be
Right.
November.
Okay.
Most
By the
likely
time you
would
get
be
through count
November.
day and everything, yeah.
I know we always watch it, but I was just like, that's, I mean, we haven't seen a change in a really long time as far as,
Correct.
you know, it's gradually gone, but.
You mentioned that you suggested we should try and collect that difference in the millage. And so what, can you talk to me what that looks like? What would you, what's that mean?
Sure, that's ultimately, so that's the operating millage. So that has to go out to vote, and it literally is 18 mills on all non-homestead properties. All your non-homestead properties are your second homes and your rental properties and such like that. So this is all of it doesn't affect any of your primary residence. So if you live in Buchanan and you have your address here, kids go to school here, then this does not affect you. It affects us in the standpoint that the state expects us to collect the full 18 mills. So pretend that we get $10,000 per student and we're supposed to be collecting $100 in non-homestead per student, that would mean the state's going to give us $9,900, right? So even though we're not collecting the full $100, the state's not going to make up the difference. They're still only going to give us the $9,900. So it would be great. I mean, it would be great if we were able to raise that above the 18 mils, so that way, when the Headley rollback takes place, we don't have to go back to the voters again and bug them.
Okay.
And then I'll add just one other thing. When we did go out in 2024, we worked with Brian, he was here. We created a video for the community so they understood it as well. So it'll be that type of process. We'll have to work with our attorneys as well with getting information on the ballot and within a timeline. So it is really kind of like the same things that you would do for a bond. We'll have to repeat that same thing.
Correct.
We had a little space, I think it was 18.4 is what we went out for, that was approved by the voters.
Yes.
And that Headley rollback is just taken chunks the last 2 years.
Right.
Big chunks.
More so than over the past 10 years.
Yeah, right.
Big change. Good for property values again.
Yeah. And this has happened before. As you go back and see the bonds timelines for our Buchanan, it has happened before, and I forgot what year it was, but it's been a while.
There's been a lot of schools in the county that have had to go out for additional operating millages because of the Headley rollback, so that way they can collect the 18 mils. That is, it's common, unfortunately. Yep.
Real quick, how much has the reduction of federal funding affected our budget for at-risk kind of support?
So at-risk is on the state level, so
Okay.
that we're not positive. They say that they're going to increase it, but I mean, I'll believe it when I see it.
See it.
Title funds are allocated, and my understanding is across the board is it's going to be about similar as to what it was this past year, but there's no guarantees for the future of the funding of it. Good question.
There's just a lot of unknowns for the budget. They haven't released much information, so.
Exactly. We've got a framework,
Yeah.
and nobody even knows what the framework is right now, so
We're
it's
Thanks for
fantastic.
causing anxiety. State of Michigan, yeah. Department of Ed.
All right. Do you
Thank
need
you.
anything else? Awesome. Thank you, guys. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Thank you.
Next, we do have public comment for hearing on the 26 or 27 budget. We do not have anyone here for those comments. Just making sure, I'm not missing anyone. All right, so we will move on to our points of pride.
And we had a great end of the school year. So I think our board meeting was like in between there. So we ended the school year great. Summer school is off and running. So our team is at a point where we are just rocking and rolling, trying to get things started back for the upcoming school year. I do want to just take a moment as a pride point to say, last year, August, we lost our business official. We went through a bunch of transitions. And then January, Scott answered the call. He came from Maryland and started to work in February. So, and I know he is leaving. Tomorrow is his last day. I do want to say thank you, Scott, for the work that you've done and filling in the gap while we were in kind of like a big search for a business official. So, and in addition to that, I want to transition to, we have a visitor, Brooke Essig, who is the candidate. We offered her the position, so we're just waiting for fingerprints to come back or get transferred from her current district. So she is here, and welcome, and thank you for answering the call. So many of you may remember Brooke from working with Brian a couple years ago, so I think it's a good transition. And then both Scott has offered to help with any transition, and so is Brian and Courtney. They've been great, so thank you. And I think that is a pride point because folks are willing to help Buchanan and help us be successful. So thank you, guys.
Agreed, thank you.
Yes,
Welcome.
Thank you. And thank you, Scott, for doing a presentation the night before your last
Yeah.
day. Very much appreciated, especially on such a fun topic for all of us.
Katie, we also had a trip from the high school go to Puerto Rico. I saw pictures of. I don't know, Mrs. Robinson, if you know how many. I don't remember how many I counted. A dozen, maybe.
Yeah, it was a larger group from the year before, but I don't know the
Okay.
exact number.
Maybe Mr. Munyon would be so generous as to drag one in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
I think they just got back. So
Yeah,
they
right.
got
Okay.
some time
And
to
they
recover
usually
and
do
then
a
come back.
presentation, yeah.
It looked fun again.
Yeah, it did look good.
Good opportunity for those students.
I think I saw the Hawaiian shirt in some of those photos.
Good. Thank you. All right, next we'll go on to the superintendent and department reports. It looks like we just have one.
Yep, we just have the, the probationary status for teachers. So this will, some teachers are at a 4-year probationary limit, and some are at a 5-year timeline. So this chart shows you where they are, and each year that they complete, if they are effective, they get another year added on to their moving towards tenure. So each year you guys have to approve it, or you have to see it. Here's where we are. We have a lot of teachers that are moving ahead, going towards their probationary status, which will take them off of a probationary period for Michigan.
And that chart helped explain, just so you know. I don't know, I don't remember seeing it. I know we've done it, but I really thought it was helpful to show the progress.
All right. Next, we have our presentation, and Lacey Payne is going to talk to us about student achievement data.
One right after another tonight. One of the things that Brian referenced was categorical, so this presentation really meets the requirement of one of our categorical funds that we received, and for the grant is 104H, and it's a requirement under that grant to share the data out, but it's also good just to share where we're at with the students, but it is also meeting that requirement. So that's what I'm here to do tonight, and share with you where we're at, and primarily we're going to look at where we were in the fall and where we ended in the spring throughout this presentation. But I think it's really important anytime we talk about student data to really frame it for you. We have different practices that go in place. We have our effective practices, and we have various system variables that are important for us to consider when we're trying to make changes in student outcomes. And so under our effective practices, we're talking about instruction and curriculum and differentiated instruction and the various professional learning that is taking place. And on our system side, it's more of what kind of leadership do we have that's helping provide that instructional support, those systems that allow for learning to take place. Schedule is a great example of that. Sometimes schedules can create barriers, sometimes they remove barriers. So it just depends on what we're able to do and finesse with our schedule. Of course, efficiency of the use of our resources and focused instructional culture. Like, what is our focus and how are we working towards improving student outcomes? So it's really important to kind of keep this big picture in mind when we're looking at student data. We oftentimes just want to pinpoint it into one thing, and that's not really the case. It's got to be all of these pieces working together to improve student outcomes. So the first data piece that we're going to look at is it's kind of able to give you a over time of how students at Buchanan have performed on the NWEA assessment. So NWEA is one of our benchmark assessments. Most grade levels give that test 3 times a year in math and reading. This particular sample is our reading information. So as you look at this is how we're performing in reading across time. So on the right-hand side, 22, 23 was performance data all the way through to the left-hand side, and you can see it goes down by grade. So you're able to kind of see some of the trend data on how our students are performing. And overall, at the very bottom is a grand total of our average performance. So over the course of the several years, our reading data trends are going up. So it's a really good thing to see our average scores increasing. And so on average right now, we're at 66% of our students are meeting their goal, their growth goal. So the growth goal varies from student to student. It depends on where the student is at and what their trajectory should be for that year based on where they score. So it doesn't mean we're all at benchmark. That's not what this data is telling us, but this data is saying that students, 66% of our students met their expected growth.
Lacey, why is the one a line?
So kindergarten this year did not test in the fall. They did fall, or they did the data in the fall or winter and the spring. So they did those two. They felt like they were too small to come in and take that assessment right away. They wanted to get them acclimated
So they
into
didn't
school
have that.
rather than just throwing them into a standardized assessment. So they opted not to give that assessment in the fall.
So they didn't have the target goals? Is that why then it's a 0 for the
Right.
spring? Okay,
Yes.
got it. Thank you.
And so then this switches over to math, and you can see how we're performing across time in math and how our students are meeting their goals. We've had some pretty, jumped up quite a bit, and when you look at our overall, and then it's now trending back. It's trending down right now across the years for math. So that's one piece. We're a couple years out from a math adoption, but there's definitely some things that we can do around professional development, targeted focus, that we can work to try and help students reach this goal. This is our math data. This is really small, and I apologize, it's probably really hard for you to see. It's hard for me to even present and see. I didn't realize it was going to be this small. I was thinking of the auditorium with the great big screens, and I'm like, oh, that'll be fine on those screens. But the biggest thing, I don't know how this is going to mess your cameras up, but the biggest thing to look at is right here, we had 55%, this was in the fall, so this is fall data for math. And 55% of our students were hitting the this switches over to percentile individual performance. So 55% of our students were at the 40th percentile or above, yellow and beyond, okay? And then, so this breaks it down by grade level and how they performed across the school year in grade level in the fall. So our math data in first grade, so you can kind of look and see. The easiest thing on this really is to just look at the colors because it gives you an easy way to get an idea of how our students are performing. We had one student, it looks like, that took the math test as a 9th grader. That was unusual. I don't know if it was a move-in or what happened, but so 9th grade is showing up on this one. But you can see, our 8th grade, the majority of our 8th grade groups are doing really, really pretty well and hitting that expectation at the beginning of the school year. So then when you look at this data and where we fall in the spring, we moved to the 64th percentile of how our students were performing overall, and you can see it broadened out quite a bit. Now we've got just a few, only 11% of the 8th graders. Our lone 9th grader did not test in the spring, so I don't know if that's a student that left or what happened there, but and then you can kind of see across here how we're doing with our math data. And then this is the same view for our reading scores. Similar percentile ranking overall, doing really pretty well across the board. Again, our lone student here was a high performer in reading, and but that was our fall benchmark, and then we moved into the spring, and we jumped up to the 63rd percentile for our students on the NWA reading. I'm bringing this piece. This is not a part of what's funded under 104H, but what it does is it is giving you a glimpse as you guys, they added M-class benchmark testing this school year. So it's a new testing measure that we just added. We are expanding this test through 7th grade for this next upcoming school year. And this data is really what is going to be instrumental in how we get better student outcomes, because this is really, so if you look at NWEA, you think about tier 1. Every student, how are they doing? What are we doing with every student in the classroom? M-class is digging in a little deeper and getting a little bit more dialed in on student performance on their skill-based level needs. So how are we performing at that foundational level, and what can we do in practice or in intervention or win time or walk to read time to really make sure that we are boosting the kids that are below our threshold of expectation. Okay, so this is the data our classroom teachers and our interventionists and things are watching a lot tighter than and this is also what students are they're benchmarked 3 times a year, but they're also progress monitored in. So we provide some instruction, and then they take another little mini assessment, a minute long, and we get an idea of how they're growing, and we're able to track that data a lot better. So I wanted to include that just so that you guys could see where you invested some additional money this year in student assessment, and is providing us an overall picture of our students. So you can see where we performed in the fall. with letter sounds is often an important skill for us to be focused on with instruction in kindergarten. That and they work to decoding, and this decoding comes from nonsense word reading. So they will get a nonsense word like, let's say it's bip, and if the student goes if they get credit as like decoding that, and they get credit for each of those letter sounds, which goes into the letter sound score. But ideally, by first grade where it says decoding, they're going it like bip, and they're blending it into a word, or just able to read it as bip. So that's the transitional skills that we're gonna see between K and 1. And it's really important that our first graders are near 100%, 80, 90% in that decoding very early in the year, because that's the foundation piece that we need to make sure that they have in order to get into full word reading. And so you can look across this, and then that moves into the reading fluency, which you guys are probably familiar with, where they read a passage for 1 minute and they receive a score for that. And that's the typical passage that we watch across all the grades beyond first grade. So you can see some of the scores have kind of stayed steady, and in some grade levels we had a pretty good jump in second grade. We had a nice jump in first grade for their reading fluency outcomes, and so this is just important data for us to keep an eye on. Next year, we're going to add M-Class math as well, so we'll also have this more granular data to inform our math intervention groups.
And did you say we're going 5th, 6th, 7th, up to 7th, right?
Yes, through 7th grade. And then high school is moving to Ames Web Plus for 8 through 12, which is very consistent data for us all to look at, because special education, currently special education and general education are using different benchmark tests. And so that's been a little bit of a hiccup in our system, so we're going to streamline that moving into next year.
Good.
And then this is our M-Class data for second grade through fourth grade. And again, this just gives us an idea of how the students are doing in their reading fluency. Nice jump there in third grade, 55% of the students are at benchmark. The benchmark threshold that it's the 40th percentile, so it's very similar to what they're doing with NWEA. This is also going to be how we are going to determine students that are showing characteristics of dyslexia, students that are on an individual reading plan, all these things that are coming through the state. These reports will give us really good information, and it'll allow us to target our instruction.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Why shoot for the 40th percentile instead of like the 45th or 50th percentile?
What was your initial part of your question?
Why the 40th percentile and not like the 50th percentile? Right?
So a percentile is a little different than a percentage, so that's a normed. Percentiles are normed data, and it's normed off of a bell curve. So 40th and 50th percentile, I normally do go off the 50th percentile. The program uses the 40th percentile, so we're currently going off the recommendation from the program. That might jump as we see how students are transitioning that data, because really, quite honestly, if they're performing here, they should have better outcomes on NWEA as well. And so it's just a threshold that we're expecting every student to get there before they can move into enrichment.
What's the logic behind it?
The logic behind the threshold?
Yeah, the 40th.
Yeah, so basically, if you think of that bell curve, we're trying to get kids as close to the top of that bell curve as possible so that those skills are secured. What we've been having a little bit of issue with is, so if you take the IRIPs, the kids are taking these assessments, and we're saying, okay, the kid met those requirements, and we're going to take them off of an IRIP, and then the next time they test, they're putting them right back on. So if they hit that 50th percentile, 40th percentile right in that range, and they're showing that as a consistent pattern, which I usually request that they look at three measures at that percentile or better, then they don't tend to go back on. We can see that those skills are secured, that then as they continue to progress, they'll progress with their peers instead of going like yo-yoing. And what we really want to do, especially for our families, is to avoid some of that yo-yoing of on and off, of your students reading deficient, oh no, they're not anymore, that really sends mixed messages. We want to be confident and so if we have more students on IRIPs, that's just good practice anyway. In individual reading plan, it's okay to tell families what we're doing to intervene. We've got a system in place. And so that's a little bit of changing some mindsets, but we're working on that, and we're building data walls to look at this data and really inform and make those group changes based on how students are progressing. And that is just the threshold for us to kind of watch and make sure it's secured.
So Lacey, I have a question back on the targeted reading data for the 8th grade. It looks like it's gone down quite a bit from, it looks like it was 71% back in 22, 23 to now 54%. Is that, no, that's math. There you go. Yeah, and so I'm wondering when are we due for a curriculum review for ELA?
Next year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, there's gonna be some conversations around, the biggest change I think that we may have to really look at is what does this look like in the secondary space? And schools across the state right now are having that conversation because of the dyslexia and literacy law, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's requiring buildings that have never really had to hone in on MTSS system and really target our lower, not that we're not trying to put systems in place, but it just looks so different in a secondary space than it does in an elementary space. And so how are we going to provide intentional support for those kids that are falling below in the secondary space is going to be a big conversation as we go through our adoption process next year. Because it's an important conversation to have, and oftentimes it's a capacity thing. Just secondary teachers are not often comfortable teaching foundational reading. They feel like elementary teachers, for some reason, got lots of training in reading instruction, and the reality is we don't. We oftentimes have 1 or 2 classes, and so it's a misnomer that there's all this reading instruction that happens in college. That's part of why this literacy and dyslexia law also addresses the secondary or the college space of what they're teaching students as they're coming out, so that they're coming out equipped to provide support. And so we'll be working a lot, I'll be working closely with that department and looking what they have and what things we may need to layer in order to meet the needs of our students that might be struggling a bit.
And Jenny, if you go to that 7th grade group in 24-25, you see where they're 46%? And then that same group at 8th grade, so there is a little bit of improvement with that cohort group.
Yeah, I
So,
see.
But then if you just look at it across from year to year, it is dipping. But if you go to cohort, the
Right.
kids themselves.
That's a good point.
That
Thank
makes
you.
sense.
The cohort is, that's not following a cohort. That's
Yeah,
the 8th graders over time.
correct.
Okay.
Great questions. Anything else that you'd like to? Okay. Well, I look forward to sharing more data with you in the future and having great outcomes with our students. So.
I appreciate the information because I think I've learned more. I learned more just now from you explaining some of that stuff that I knew was going on with my child.
Yeah.
But I didn't quite know exactly what it was, but you just explained it in a matter of minutes. So thank you so much.
Okay. Next, we have our information reports and new business, and first is the bond oversight update. And I think we just have a brief update on, we are in the process of RFPs for architecture firms. So we just received those back, and the Facilities and Finance Committee is looking to schedule the review of that information. Anything else to add? Did I missed on that? All right, so then we have the Facilities and Finance Committee, which met on June 17th.
Yes. Katie and I for the board, Brian, Courtney, Scott, David, Trish, Phil, and Tammy for the district. The entire meeting was revolving around the budget amendment presentation that we had and the coming budget for next year.
Yep.
And I
And
believe everything was covered in
Yeah.
those presentations.
Yeah, and I think one of the things we look at, and I'm pretty sure we talked about this last year too, is we're approving a budget deficit, one that takes us in the hole, and the comfort in doing so, I shouldn't say comfort, the knowledge that makes me more comfortable doing that is because we know it's a conservative budget where we're assuming a loss in students, we're assuming some things that we have to build assumptions in because we don't have the information yet. So we know it's not the final number,
Yeah,
and but it's the best with the information that we have available to us at this time, so.
Okay, I forgot to ask. When we talk about the bond and then having to go back for the millage increase, or get back up to 18, is that going to have an impact on that? Or what do you guys think?
They would be separate.
Yeah, they're separate, but if we're
Yes.
doing
We've
it at
had
the same
no-
time, it might be a
Right,
competing-
100%. We've had no
Right.
conversations about
Okay.
the operating millage
Okay.
and a timeline, I mean, before
times,
tonight,
yeah.
really.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a good question.
Yeah.
And something we need to
Yeah, we
work
just don't
on
want
to
nothing
make sure.
competing with
yeah.
what we need,
Correct.
which is
Yep.
both.
Yep.
Right.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
you know.
Yes. Good. All right. Next, we have the Curriculum and Programming Committee that met.
June 25th. And I'll take that. So it was myself and Kelly from the board and Lacey and Trish. I think Scott had another commitment. So we talked about the ESL letter of agreement. We have 3 teachers that have raised their hands to do that, which we're really excited about. We talked a little bit about the letters, which is the language essentials for teachers of reading and spelling, and that we've been selected to partner with the MDE on that, so we're really excited about that. And then, as was mentioned in the presentations earlier, we also talked about the 4 new district positions. Anything I forgot, Kelly?
No, excellent. Excellent.
All right. Our next section is public comment section, and we do not have anyone here, so we are going to move on to the adoption of the consent agenda.
Move the Board of Education approves the consent agenda for the items for the regular meeting of June 29, 2026, which included minutes from July 8th.
June 8th.
Warrants, what?
June 8th.
June 8th.
I can't see that. And it's not expanding for me. Okay.
June.
June 8th of this year, warrants and the MHSAA 2026-2027 membership and resignations. I can see it now.
Support.
Yeah, I'm supposed to be able to do
Any questions or comments from board? Roll call.
Mr. Carlson.
Yes.
Ms. Brackett.
Yes.
Mr. Brown.
Yes.
Ms. Lush, yes. Dr. Carlin.
Yes.
Dr. Burnett.
it. Yes.
And Ms. Berry.
Yes. All right, moving on, we have our BVA graduation certification.
I make a motion that upon satisfactory completion of district requirements for high school graduation, the Board of Education hereby approves Buchanan Virtual Academy students Emily Walker, Brandon Brown, and Cody Grimming, and Buchanan Step-Up student DeLeon Harris.
Support.
All right, congratulations to those students. Any questions or comments? And roll call, please.
Mr. Carlson.
Yes.
Ms. Brackett.
Yes.
Mr. Brown.
Yes.
Ms. Lush, yes. Dr. Carlin.
Yes.
Dr. Burnett.
Yes.
And Ms. Berry.
Yes. Next, we have our adoption of the 25-26 final budget and 26-27 budget appropriation.
I move the Buchanan Board of Education, in accordance with the General Appropriations Act, accepts the Buchanan Community Schools budget for the fiscal year 25-26 amended as presented, and the 2026-27 budget appropriation. Said documents to be entered into the minutes of this meeting and to take immediate effect.
Support.
All right, any questions or comments?
No, appreciate all the information.
And roll call, please.
Mr. Carlson.
Yes.
Ms. Brackett.
Yes.
Mr. Brown.
Yes.
Ms. Lush, yes. Dr. Carlin.
Yes.
Dr. Burnett.
Yes.
And Ms. Berry.
Yes. Next, we have the update on the authorized banking users.
I make a,
Go ahead, Jean. Go.
I make a motion the Buchanan Community Schools Board of Education approves the following individuals to be authorized users on Buchanan Community Schools financial accounts effective July 1, 2026. United Federal Credit Union authorized users Katie Berry and Tammy Regglesworth, and the removal of the following user, Scott Johnson. And Honor Credit Union authorized users Katie Berry and Tammy Regglesworth, and the removal of Scott Johnson.
Support.
Any questions, comments? I think
Normal
under-
protocol.
Understanding that we've got some adjustments, and we'll probably see this again shortly. so. All right, roll call, please.
Mr. Carlson?
Yes.
Ms. Brackett?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Ms. Lesh, yes. Dr. Carlin?
Yes.
Ms. Berry?
Yes.
And Dr. Burnett?
Yes.
All right, next we have the amendment of the collective bargaining agreement for Buchanan Association of Paraprofessionals.
I move the Buchanan Board of Education ratifies the proposed agreement amendment between Buchanan Community Schools and the Buchanan Association of Paraprofessionals effective through June 30th, 2028.
Support.
Questions or comments? Anything to add?
I just want to thank the para leadership, the co-presidents, of getting us through this. They made it very approachable, and I think we have we had a good conversation at the table. They brought a couple of things. We have what we have, and we were able to make an agreement. I think it was what, three meetings maybe that we've had to have at the most.
And this was just a wage
Wage
reopener
reopener.
on their
Wage-
existing? Yeah.
It was a wage reopener, and one thing that we did adjust was just to clarify subbing, what paras needed to do for subbing. So we added that they do need to be certified to sub for a full day, so we did clarify that.
Thank you.
All right, roll call, please.
Mr. Carlson?
Yes.
Ms. Brackett?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Ms. Lesh, yes. Dr. Carlin?
Yes.
Ms. Berry?
Yes.
And Dr. Burnett?
Yes.
She messed me up there.
On your toes.
Yeah.
All right, next we have the 25-26 administrator cell phone reimbursement.
I make a motion the Buchanan Board of Education approves district leaders who are required to have a personal wireless communication device as a condition of their employment shall receive an annual stipend to reimburse them for the costs associated with maintaining and using the device for business purposes, equivalent to leadership $35 per month for each month employed, and superintendent $50 per month for each month employed.
Support.
Questions or comments?
We have to find them, I guess.
We have to find them. They have to be accessible.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is
Yeah.
something we do annually.
Yes.
Yep.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Carlson?
Yes.
Ms. Brackett?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Ms. Lesh, yes. Dr. Carlin?
Yes.
Dr. Burnett?
Yes.
And Ms. Berry?
Yes. Next one's a fun one, a donation approval.
I move the Buchanan Board of Education moves to approve the following donation, $25,000 to the athletic department.
Support.
Yeah, we're excited. We have so many community members who are working with us to try to find ways to support the school district. A lot of it has gone to athletics. We know that that is an area of need, and so they have found a need. They see some ways to help us, and they are out trying to make it happen. So we thank you, the anonymous donor, and then the community members that also help to orchestrate this.
Is that earmarked for something specific?
Yes, so it is going to go to the tennis,
Sorry,
hold
I'm
on.
like-
Yeah, I've lost my
Fence,
thought, train of
isn't it
thought.
the
fence?
The fence, we're gonna fix the fence for the tennis, and then also the track equipment. So most of that is gonna go to some of the track equipment. So just for your, just kind of like a baseline, the hurdles are like $33,000. So, and plus we need other things with
Can't even get
the
over
track
there.
getting updated. We need money for that. And then also we're gonna get, not the winds, it is windscreens that go across the fence for tennis. So
Oh.
similar to what we have for the baseball. So, and those are quite
Expensive, too.
costly too. I didn't realize they were that costly, so, yeah. So that's what it's going to.
And we need roll call. Thank you.
Mr. Carlson,
Yes.
Ms. Brackett,
Yes.
Mr. Brown,
Yes.
Ms. Lesh, yes, Dr. Carlin,
Yes.
Dr. Burnett,
Yes.
and Ms. Berry.
Yes. And then we have the addition of the Public Improvement Fund transfer.
I move the Buchanan Community Schools Board of Education approves the transfer of $300,000 from the general fund to the PIF account.
Support.
Thanks.
All right. Any questions or comments on anything here?
And one of the big things in the strategic plan was facilities. So this is just earmarking some more dollars towards facility improvements.
And this was included in the information we heard tonight, but this is the formality of approving the actual transfer.
Yeah, these dollars were in the budget amendment for the current fiscal year ending tomorrow.
Good. All right, roll call, please.
Mr. Carlson,
Yes.
Ms. Brackett,
Yes.
Mr. Brown,
Yes.
Ms. Lesh, yes, Dr. Carlin,
Yes.
Dr. Burnett,
Yes.
and Ms. Berry.
Yes. All right. Any additions, questions, comments from the board?
I have one quick announcement for the Boys and Girls Club. They sent out an email just requesting, first it was the survey, and then the second was anybody who is willing to just say how much they appreciate or like the services to all those that are signed up. And so I use it all the time, but I do appreciate it. So I've filled out the survey. So they're just asking, I think they're going in front of their foundation just to show. And since they have expanded for us in Buchanan, I think it is a great resource and I don't want to lose it. So I just want to make sure, and we could maybe put something out a little more just to make sure people are filling out, or going to speak on how it has assisted them, and their families. So I just got it. So just so you know. Okay.
And just National Night Out Against Crime's coming first Tuesday in August, so everybody come out 6 to 9.
Oh, yeah.
At high school.
National Night Out.
And then just give kudos to Trish. People, at different events give positive information about who she is and what she's done, and just kind of thanking her for all the positive work she does in the community and things like that.
It's not our evaluation time.
I know, but
That's next month. No.
Right.
Any other? Scott, you look
Ready?
ready?
I was
Ready?
holding, I had my filter running well tonight.
We'll let that filter
I had
keep
about
going.
7
Anybody
different
else
things
go?
I was going to add to what Harvey just said, and I was like, no, I'll just let her be. She's doing great. You're doing great, Trish. You're doing great.
She's so crazy. Good. All right, and one of the things I like to see is all of the work continuing to happen in the summer, so thank you for everybody. David's here, making
Yes.
sure that
Making sure stuff's
facilities
getting
are
done.
getting addressed in the summer. It's nice to see. And hopefully, yeah.
Yeah.
Lots of projects.
track will be nice.
Yes.
Yep. Good. All right, our next meeting is July 20th at 6 PM here in the library, and we are adjourned.